In the heart of a quiet hospital, a young woman is forced to marry her sister's wealthy fiancé, now lying in a deep coma. No dream dress, no flowers, just the cold echo of hallways and the harsh stares of a family that despises her. Claire never wanted this fate, but the weight of her mother's illness pushed her into an impossible sacrifice. What began as a cruel exchange between power and survival would soon turn into a story of pain, betrayal, and an unexpected love capable of changing everything. The dim lights of the hospital chapel cast their glow on Ethan's pale face, motionless on the gurney. The distant beeping of heart monitors sets the rhythm of a ceremony that was never meant to happen. Claire clutches the pen with trembling hands while her mother, eyes filled with tears, watches in silence. The signature on that paper feels heavier than any sentence, but no one could imagine what would come after. Claire's simple dress stands in sharp contrast to the perfectly tailored suits of the lawyers and family members present. The scent of antiseptic fills the sacred space, mingling with the weight of obligation. "Sign it, Claire. It's the only way," whispers Aunt Margaret, her voice sharp as a knife. Claire's heart races, but the pen keeps moving. The silence in the room feels like an invisible trial. Outside, rain streaks down the hospital windows, as if the sky itself were weeping. Claire lifts her eyes to Ethan, unconscious, breathing through machines. A man who had never known her, yet was now called her husband. Every word from the priest sounds distant, almost ironic, in front of that makeshift altar. The air grows heavy, each breath a burden. She thinks of her mother, frail, waiting for a treatment that would only come through this agreement. The weight of her choice crushes her, but there is no way back. In sickness and in health, till death do us part. The phrase echoes cruelly down the empty hallway. Claire closes her eyes, as if trying to hide from her own fate, but the contract has already bound her. When the priest announces the "I do," the words never leave her lips. Only a faint nod confirms the union. The cold eyes of the Cole family show no effort to hide their disdain. A marriage sealed not by love, but by necessity. And yet, in that funeral silence, a question lingers in the air. Would it really end there? The modest apartment smells of stale coffee and medicine. Claire sets her coat on the chair, her eyes tired and swollen from crying. Her mother, Linda, lying in bed nearby, forces a fragile smile when she sees her daughter. "Did you manage, sweetheart?" she asks softly. Claire only holds her hand, unable to speak of the ceremony that still echoes in her mind. The silence between them weighs more than any word. The peeling walls of the small home stand in stark contrast to the Cole family's luxury. The dripping from the bathroom pipe keeps time with Claire's anxious heartbeat. She glances at the sketchbook on the table, filled with dreams that never came true. Between lines and scribbles, she searches for refuge, but the weight of the wedding ring on her finger pulls her back to reality. A marriage without love, a home drowned in debt. That night, the landlord's threat echoes in her head. "One more delay and you're out." Claire squeezes her eyes shut, trying to push the image away. The tightness in her chest grows, as if there's no way out. But then she looks at her mother, struggling to breathe, and she knows she can't give up. The price of every choice was only beginning to be collected. Meanwhile, inside the Cole mansion, disdain spreads in poisonous whispers. Lydia, with a cold smile, remarks, "She only wants the money, nothing else." Claire feels the weight of those words even without being there. An invisible judgment, a sentence passed before the trial. Yet deep down, she knows nothing will make her back down. Not now. Not while her mother depends on her. Lying beside her mother, Claire closes her eyes, but finds no rest. The sound of rain against the window repeats an uncomfortable truth. She now belongs to a world she never wanted. And still, a small flame insists on burning within her, as if fate had saved something more than pain. But when would it come to light? The cold ICU room hums with the steady rhythm of machines. Claire holds Ethan's hand, her fingers laced with his, as if trying to pull him out of the silence. Then, for a fleeting moment, she feels the slightest movement. The shock runs through her like lightning. Her eyes lock on his, still closed. but something inside whispers that she is not alone. Her heart races. Claire presses a hand to her lips, holding back the sob that threatens to break free. "Are you there?" she whispers, even knowing there will be no reply. The white hospital light reflects in her tear-filled eyes, painting a scene suspended in time. The world outside remains cold, but inside that room, a spark of hope is born. In the days that follow, Claire returns with the same ritual. She tells stories, hums softly, sketches his face on pages stained with pencil. Each act is a silent plea for him to fight. Doctors say it's nothing but reflex, but she refuses to believe it. Her instinct speaks louder. He can hear, he can feel, and she has no intention of leaving him. With her mother at home, Claire splits herself between medicine and hospital visits. Her body weary, her eyes shadowed, but her heart unwavering. A promise forms in silence. She will stay until the end, no matter what, no matter how long it takes. "I'll be here," she whispers, certain that someone has to believe for him. Every small sign becomes a secret miracle. A deeper breath, the faint twitch of an eyelid. Claire keeps it all to herself, telling no one. Hope blends with fear, as if it could vanish at any moment. What she doesn't know yet is that this fragile thread of faith will be what changes everything. The halls of the Cole mansion echo with hurried steps and watchful eyes. Claire walks through carrying a plain bag, while Lydia, flawless in her silk dress, watches with contempt. "You're nothing but an opportunist," she hisses, her tone sharp and cutting. Claire's face burns, but she stays silent, swallowing each word like poison. During dinner, the silence is broken only by cutlery tapping against porcelain. The family's eyes turn toward Claire like sharpened blades. No smiles, no welcome, just the weight of being treated as an intruder. Claire lowers her head, poking at her plate without appetite, trying not to let them see the tears she fights to hold back. In the hallways, whispers spread like wildfire. "She only wants his money. She shouldn't even be here." Each phrase is a stone thrown at her dignity. Claire presses her sketchbook to her chest as if it were the only shield against the cruelty around her. Still, the pain runs deep, eating away in silence. One rainy afternoon, Lydia approaches again. Cold eyes, venom in her voice. "You'll never be a Cole. Not if you spend your whole life trying." The blow cuts through Claire's soul, but she does not answer. The strength that keeps her standing is not pride, but necessity. Her mother, frail and sick, is the reason she endures everything. Even humiliated, Claire keeps visiting Ethan, whispering words no one else believes he will hear. The family's disdain is a constant burden, but every beat of his heart keeps hope alive inside her. What she does not yet imagine is that the real test of endurance is only beginning. The lawyer's office smells of leather and polished wood. Andrew Fletcher pushes the papers across the desk, his gaze cold behind his glasses. "These are just formal conditions," he says in a steady voice. Claire studies the lines of the contract, each clause erasing a little more of who she is. No public appearances. No contact with the company, no rights to the assets, only silence. The words seem to turn into invisible chains, binding her further to a fate she never chose. Claire holds the pen with trembling fingers, her mother's voice echoing in her mind. "You have to resist, my daughter." The rain pounding on the windowpane reinforces the loneliness of the moment, and even knowing there is no choice, the weight of the decision rips her apart inside. She sighs. The stroke of the pen feels like a cut to her own identity. Andrew gathers the papers with indifference, as if it were just another business deal. The silence in the room is suffocating, broken only by the dry sound of the briefcase closing. Claire feels erased, reduced to a shadow of herself, but she does not let it show. Outside, Lydia waits with a triumphant smile. "Now you know your place." Claire clenches her fists but walks on without answering. Each cruel word is another wound, but also a reminder of why she cannot give up. Her mother depends on that agreement, and Ethan, even unconscious, is the silent anchor that keeps her standing. Back at the hospital, Claire sits beside him, the contract tucked away in her bag like a heavy secret. His hand lies still on the sheets, and she holds it as if refusing to disappear entirely, invisible to everyone else, but not to the man in the coma. There was still something no one could take from her: the promise to stay. The hospital room stays wrapped in silence, broken only by the steady beep of the monitor. Claire watches closely, her heart racing with every small change. A deeper breath, a finger that moves ever so slightly, tiny gestures that would mean nothing to anyone else, but to her, they mean everything. Each sign is kept like a secret treasure. At night, when everyone is gone, Claire opens her sketchbook and draws his face. Strong lines, eyes she imagines open, a smile she has never seen. As the pencil moves, she hums softly, her voice heavy with emotion. She believes the music can slip through his deep sleep and reach him. Hope sustains her even when exhaustion threatens to consume her. The doctors, indifferent, speak only in statistics. They're involuntary reflexes, they say. But Claire refuses to accept it. She feels something different, something alive. Her eyes shine when she strokes his hand, as if each touch could pull him back. Deep down, she believes faith is stronger than any cold diagnosis. Between visits, she brings simple flowers, leaves gathered from the hospital garden. She places them by the bed, as if they could bring life to the sterile room. She talks to him about the world outside, about the rain, about her mother. "You're not alone," she repeats, a promise renewed with every word. The signs become more frequent. A deep sigh, a faint flutter of eyelids. Claire keeps it all to herself, afraid the family might use it against her. But inside, her certainty grows. He is coming back. And when that happens, nothing will ever be the same. The sun pours through the ICU window, painting the once shadowed room in gold. Claire takes Ethan's hand, as she does every day. But this time, something feels different. His fingers close around hers, firm, deliberate. Her breath catches in her throat. She looks at his face and sees his eyelids trembling. The impossible begins to unfold before her eyes. The monitors send out soft alarms, and doctors rush in. Claire doesn't look away, her heart pounding faster than any machine. Slowly, Ethan's eyes open, confused, unfocused. He takes a deep breath, his dry lips struggling to form words. Claire lets out a sob, tears running freely. The miracle has arrived. The news spreads through the halls like wildfire. The Cole family floods back in, filling the room with voices and demands. But when Ethan lifts his tired gaze and finds Claire, his hoarse voice cuts through the air. "She stayed with me." Silence falls heavy. For the first time, he chooses. Claire feels the weight of change. The man who had once been only a shadow now awakens to a world of disputes and secrets. Still weak, Ethan insists she remain by his side. The family, unsettled, steps back for a moment, but Lydia's venomous eyes reveal the beginning of a silent war. Hand in hand, Claire and Ethan share a moment no one can steal. His awakening is not just physical, it is the beginning of something greater. Yet while her heart overflows with hope, a new thread is already forming in the shadows, ready to turn the miracle into torment. The Cole Mansion's grand hall fills with tense voices. Claire stands with her eyes lowered as Lydia strides across the room with firm steps. Her cold smile announces the blow about to fall. She is not the original bride, she declares before everyone, her words dripping with venom. The silence that follows is suffocating. Ethan, still weak, feels the ground collapse beneath him. His eyes lock on Claire's, searching for answers she cannot give. "Is it true?" he asks, his voice hoarse. Tears burn down her face, but there is no way to deny it. The truth lies there, exposed like an open well. Every word from Lydia twists in the air like a blade. Claire tries to speak, but her voice fails. "I never wanted to deceive you," she whispers, barely audible. Ethan pulls away, his gaze filled with hurt. The emptiness between them feels wider than any distance. The hope she carried begins to shatter as the family's murmurs spread through the hall. That night, an envelope reaches Claire's hands. No sender, only a single message: "If you disappear, your mother will keep receiving treatment. If you stay, you'll face the consequences." The paper trembles between her fingers. The dilemma is cruel, and the shadow of the threat weighs heavier than any accusation. Alone in her room, Claire clutches her sketchbook, her heart torn between fleeing and fighting. The memory of her moments with Ethan still beats inside her, yet the darkness of the threat surrounds her. Every choice feels like an abyss, and deep down, she knows the decision she makes will change everything forever. The coal company's boardroom looms large, framed by glass walls that let the city glow outside. Shareholders murmur, the family watches with cutting eyes. Claire steps in timidly, sketchbook in hand, her heart pounding. The air feels too heavy to breathe. The meeting is not just about business, it is about her fate. The lawyers speak of annulment. Lydia insists on calling Claire an imposter. She should never have been part of this family, she spits with contempt. Claire presses the sketchbook to her chest and steps forward. Her voice trembles, but she does not back down. I never lied about who I am. I stood by him when all of you walked away. The silence that follows is so thick, it nearly cuts the air. With trembling hands, she opens the sketchbook and reveals the drawings. Portraits of Ethan in his coma, sketched night after night. Each line is a silent confession, a testimony of love and endurance. Page by page, the room shifts. Eyes change. The impact is undeniable. Claire had no fortune, but she had truth. Ethan, still recovering, raises his voice. Enough. The firm tone silences the room. She is my wife, not because you decided it, but because I choose it to be so. His words echo like thunder. The family's furious glares cannot erase the power of that moment. For the first time, he breaks free from their chains of manipulation. Claire feels tears streaming down her face, but this time not from humiliation, this time from relief. The weight she had carried begins to lift. Beside Ethan, she realizes the fight is far from over. But now, for the first time, she is not alone. Something greater than any contract is about to begin. The coal estate garden is lit with soft lights and white flowers. A gentle breeze stirs the branches, creating a scene straight from a fairy tale. Claire, in a simple dress, walks toward Ethan, who waits for her before a handful of friends and her mother, Linda, sitting in a wheelchair. There is no luxury, only what had always been missing: truth. Ethan's eyes shine as they meet hers. There are no more contracts, no cold papers, only a free choice. Will you marry me again, this time for love? He asks, his voice steady but heavy with emotion. Claire lets out a shy smile as tears roll down her cheeks. Yes. The moment is sealed with a kiss, born at last out of choice. The ceremony ends without grandeur, but with an intensity no lavish hall could ever offer. Claire holds her mother's hand, overwhelmed, while Ethan thanks the few guests present. The silence of the Cole family, absent from the event, echoes as proof of a battle won. For the first time, the weight of loneliness is gone. Back in their modest apartment, Claire places her sketchbook on the table. Beside it rests her mother's locket, symbols of struggle, pain, and resilience. Ethan watches, running his fingers over the drawings, recognizing each line born from lonely nights. Their love was not born of perfection, but of survival. As night falls over the city, Claire and Ethan step into a new life. What began as a prison now becomes freedom. What started as imposition now blooms as hope. And in the silence of their humble home beats a true love, strong enough to withstand disdain, pain, and even destiny itself. In the end, it is clear neither wealth nor status can fill an empty heart. Only true love can turn pain into hope. Claire and Ethan proved that kindness endures even in the harshest trials. And what about you? What did you think of this love story marked by sacrifice, redemption, and an unexpected new beginning? Share your thoughts in the comments, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications to keep following more moving stories that touch the soul.